VP people.
We are your hosts, Taylor and
Enrico.
This is Unfiltered Conversations
Global.
where we have the conversations that you want to have,
But you don't.
we have the conversations that you should have,
But you don't.
and the conversations that you overall just avoid. So jump in with us today for this episode of
Unfiltered Conversations Global.
Welcome to this episode of the Unfiltered Conversation Global with your hosts, Taylor and Eric. We're super excited to have you here today. Eric, would you mind introducing this super easy topic to talk about?
SVP people. Today, indeed, this is Unfiltered Conversation. These are those kind of talks that we talk with very confident friends in our safe spaces. But like today now, we are putting this out there in public. We'll be talking about pornography and the effects of pornography. Is it a good thing? Is it healthy? Can we practice it? Other doctors say a man should ejaculate a number of times to help them not have prostate cancer. We are going to discuss quite a lot about that.
Yeah, what's up?
Let's just start this with this. This is, have you ever found yourself watching porn?
Of course. My goodness. I was so young. I was in middle school. I was 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
And man, it's just, I saved up money, I bought a computer, I played video games in my room, and then other things. The internet, man, the internet is a freaking super highway of all sorts of trash. Lots of cool stuff too, but also lots of trash. And so, yeah, I started, I don't remember the date, when you're doing that stuff. It's like, you don't think it's a momentous occasion, oh, this is the first day I looked at porn, but it was, I want to say maybe 6th or 7th grade.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So how did that go on? Did you continue watching porn?
Oh yeah.
Did you get to a place where you stopped? How did that impact you? You were young, because now you're telling me that time you were very young, and now you've grown up. You understand what it is. How did you feel about it then? And if you continued watching, how did you feel about it later on, when now it made sense to you what it was, really?
Yeah, so the beginning of the journey, I guess, if you want to call it that, is it was very risque. Like, you'd go to the site and then you'd close it. And you'd do the accompanying tasks, obviously. But then it just progresses. And at the time, it's like I knew that this was not something I was supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. I was not supposed to be looking at this. I was not supposed to be abusing myself. It's not something that I'm supposed to be doing. And it wasn't good for me, but it was like, man, it feels great, and it's like, it's so exciting. And it's like, and you feel like living on the edge. But bro, it's no good. It's no good. And so even then, you would watch the porn and you'd be looking at stuff and you'd masturbate, and then afterwards you're just like, I'm a pile of crap. My goodness, how stupid is this?
The guilt that it comes with.
Oh man, it's like a freaking avalanche that hits you and you're like, oh, never do it again. 8 hours later or the next day you're back at it, So that pattern, it started young and it continued until I was probably a freshman in college. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, man, this is, it'd be on and off. You'd stop and you'd really not want to do it anymore. You feel God convicting you. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to stop. And, you'd get some time under your belt. But it was when I was in later end of high school, beginning of college, where it was like, no, I'm done with that. Mm-hmm. Stopped looking, stopped doing, stop masturbating, all that. Because it was just it's not good for me. It's not worth it. Had accountability, there was one time, this was back in the day of, was it Kazaa? No. Kazaa. like the download, like the Napster kind of thing. It was, what were they? There was Share Bear. There was it Kazaa? That was one of like the downloading apps, like the peer-to-peer, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't want to focus on that. I was literally downloading it, and this had the feature where you could like watch the stuff
Here, I
while
think
you
we
were
using
downloading
torrent.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, it was for everything.
Or uTorrent.
I mean, like, no, that was later. But yes, uTorrent. But this one was even before that. It was straight up peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even torrents. It was just like you're straight up getting these files, and you'd be able to watch it. And I had started watching.
Yeah.
So I hadn't looked at porn or masturbated for like 8 months or something at that time. And I was downloading it, and I was watching it. And this goes to kind of an episode that we talked about with intimacy, like, because I called one of my friends like in that moment, and I was like, bro, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And just the fact of articulating that out loud,
Yeah.
I didn't have to listen really to what he said. It was like, no, this is dumb. This is dumb. Like, it's asinine. And so it's not good for me. Like, it destroys the view I have of women. It objectifies the way. Like, it's just a net negative always. And so, like, I canceled download and didn't do anything. And then that, I continued that until it got up to years long, and then, so that was, and I didn't have any like, when I got married, I didn't have any like problems. And so this whole like, well, you have to do it this often or else you'll lose it. It's like, that stuff's bogus, like it's just ridiculous. Like, unless somebody teaches you how to do it, it's like, it's not something that's innate. Like, somebody has to teach you, like, oh, this is what you do, to feel really good by yourself, which is like completely alien and foreign to our design. And so that was kind of how that progress worked, is that it started in middle school, went all the way through high school, and it was like, and you get really bad with it. Like, you don't care
easy
where
way
you
to pleasure yourself.
Yeah, man. And you don't care where you are. You don't care, like, so it doesn't matter if you're in your church bathroom or at your house, or it doesn't matter.
That's extreme, bro.
It's how it is. It's how it goes with this. Like, it's terrible. You're laughing, but it's like, yeah, I did it too. Like,
Here, I think you hide a bit. You go in your room, you lock the door behind you.
yeah, but that's how it starts.
Yeah,
Just like when you start looking, it's like you close that window right away, and that's enough. Like, you're able to think about that a few days in a row, and you're set. But then it's like, no, that video's not good enough, or no, that girl doesn't look like this, and you're like filtering through stuff, and it just gets worse. And so this, for me, the boldness also gets worse, and your language, like the stuff you joke about, it all goes together, And it's like, it's one of the biggest things I hope to equip my sons and daughters against. That it's like, never engage in this. There is no benefit. There's nothing that you're ever going to find like, oh, I wish I had gone down that road. You'll never say that, ever. And so, it started early, battle continued, and eventually, I wouldn't say like you beat it, because that stuff sticks in your mind and it's always there. Like, even to the point where, like, I got married. I should say we got married. We got married, and it reared its head a couple times in there, and like, going to your wife and telling her. And like, to see her cry and to see her weep, because it's like, I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not beautiful. Like, all this stuff starts sliding. Not that you have this weakness you need to fix. It's like, no, you're doing that because me, and
True.
that was like, man, this is horrible.
Yeah, true.
To see how your sin affects somebody else, how to see this innocent and fine pleasure destroys somebody else. And I was like, I can't. That's got to stop. And, because you let your guard down, you're like, oh, it's been years. Like, oh, this is taken care of. And Satan's like, yeah, no problems, man. Don't guard. Just do whatever you want. Like, and it's just. So what about you? Obviously, it was never, in a church bathroom or anything for you.
Yeah. Now in a church bathroom, that would be weird. Like it would be
Also,
like, okay,
bathrooms here in Kenya are different than in the US.
probably bathroom there are way more comfortable. Oh my! And like I'm trying to wonder, like I'm in church bathroom and I'm watching porn. I'm like, oh my!
No. To me, this discussion is not just because it wasn't. I didn't watch any. This was before smartphones.
Yeah,
You have to remember,
true.
like our age when we're in middle school, high school. You don't have a smartphone. You have a brick phone that you can play game on, and so it wasn't that. It was just those images are there.
I think that was similar here with phones. For me, this is an interesting one. I got introduced to porn at age 9. I got introduced to porn by our house help, our nanny. You guys
What?
say nanny.
Dude, I remember you telling me like this is
Yes.
freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So you have a lady that worked
Yeah.
in your house. Like your parents are
Yes.
gone. They take care of you and the kids. They'd also do the laundry, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
And this lady,
Yeah. That's the lady that introduced us.
how did she introduce you to it? Did she sit down and say, "Hey guys"?
And remember that time we didn't have this cool. We used to use the cassette.
Yeah, for sure. VHS,
Yeah,
man. We all remember that.
VHS.
DVDs,
Yeah,
VHS.
DVD.
Yeah.
Yes. So like it was more kids who used to play, and we could come in and sit and watch with them because she used to like watching porn. So that's how
Dude,
I
no.
got
This is blowing my mind. Like I don't think you understand. Like I even like one of our producers was like, "Yep, that's how it went down." And it's like, are you kidding? Like this blows my mind because in the U.S. like that person would be arrested, but only because there was the intent and giving of that stuff. If the kid finds it in your bag, like it's kind of like, oh, it's natural. Like they're curious. Let them, all these bogus things. But so she would show up to the house. It wasn't even like the channel was on, so she left it because you all were engaged. She would show up to the house having brought a tape with her.
Yes.
Knowing she was watching you and then you or she would invite other kids.
other kids. Like we will sit there like with my bros, and we could be sitting there. We will be watching this porn, and I remember that was a very long porn. It used to go for like about 1 hour 30 minutes. That was a very long.
Mother of pearl.
Yeah, that was, and so like at that particular age, you don't think of abuse, and then you're afraid to report this to your parents because of the relationship.
Yeah.
Is not as good to your parents. So like.
You when you say that, you mean if you had told your parents, then maybe your house lady or she would have beat you.
Yeah.
When your parents went to work the
your
next day or
parents are not
something.
there. So you're afraid. You're afraid like and probably maybe your parents will punish you as well.
Because
So-
you watched it.
Because you watched it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're now being secretive, not to share those. So that was my first encounter with porn.
Oh man.
And then it became a habit. Like now, when we were growing up, now it became a cool thing. Like,
Can I interrupt again? I
Yes.
know this is like the 5th time. So it was you, your boys, you, your brothers, and your friends.
yes, some guys.
Now, and girls, like, so in discussing with other Kenyans, if this is something that you have talked about, is that also the case that, like, the person working in your house would bring it? I mean, we have a producer confirming these situations. Is it, like, rather common?
Yeah, I think our generation, I think, was that generation that parents were really focused in getting the finances.
Making it.
Yeah, making it. And they left us home with other carers. And these carers were the ones that were like now introducing us to this. Like, because like you tend to find like a kid has been raised with the nanny or the house help.
Yeah.
Here in Kenya, we call them house help. In the US, we call them nannies. So you find a kid has been raised in that particular standard, and parents are detached a bit with their kids. But the current parents are more in touch with their kids. So but most of my friends who were introduced to pornography were introduced by house helps.
Oh my goodness.
Most of my friends, the first porn that some of them got access to was through people that were living in our houses.
That almost, it like doesn't compute with me, because when I was growing up, maybe it's changed. Maybe adults do go around and just hand out porn to kids, but when I was a kid, it was almost like that was something that you got. Either you snagged it from your dad, or you grabbed it from a store, or what, you got it somehow, and then you like distributed it to your friends.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't anything I did. It wasn't even anything I like. But like, I remember being in band class one day, and we found this like box of magazines in this back room. I was like, where the crap do these come from at a school? But it was all these like super risque, some porn.
Yeah.
You know, softcore stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, but you're saying that commonly here it was intentionally introduced to you by adults.
Yes.
That is
people that
astounding.
Are, people that
at
are
young
entrusted.
age.
Yeah.
That is astounding to me, and it's just astounding to me. Just one.
These are people that you've trusted
with your
kids, and these are the people that are introducing your kids to these things. So, for parents out there, always be very keen with people that you bring into your house and what you want your kids to be exposed to. Always just be keen with those kind of things. So this continued. Now this became like, when you're growing up, you've been introduced into this. Now we go to school. Now some parents used to have those pornography cassettes, and some of the kids in the hood could be able to access those cassettes. Mm-hmm. Now this started becoming a habit. Now we could gather once in a while, we watch porn together, and that was now becoming
all right, man,
a common thing.
Jumping into this.
Yes.
So you watched it as a group.
Yes.
Did anybody do anything, or you just sat and watched?
We're just sitting there and watching. Yeah, with, like you're watching, probably now that time your body has started changing. Things like erection have started now happening.
Yeah.
In your system now, you understand a woman, a man. So
you understand, or at least insanely curious about.
Yeah. So those things have started now happening. So you just watch. And now as we continued growing, like now amongst our peer now that was common now. Do you have any porn CD that I can watch?
Because now you've graduated to DVDs.
Now we've graduated now to DVDs. Now we are no longer using cassettes. Now there's DVDs and flash. So now we're doing better. And
I don't know if that's the word I'd use. But
it was very common around us. And in Kenya, there's a slang that people say kunyonga. That's masturbation. Like I could say, do you have that movie so that I can nyonga? So that has been the slang for masturbation at this particular time. So that was my experience with porn at that stage. But now you see, this is something that even to my earlier life of university.
Yeah, you going to college, university.
Yeah, going to college, and now this was still.
For sure.
Like now you watch this time you've got access, now you've got the smartphones in, now you can
have your laptop.
You have your laptop, you've got your private space. Now you can flip those porn women, you can have sex with all races. You can have porn, you can have sex with white, black, Indian.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter so long as you've got they are just a click away from you. Now, and this was damaging.
How? For you?
Yeah, this was damaging because this is like now me being raised in a Christian family and now growing up as a Christian now. Now, this is a sin. It affects my perspective of sexual relation or encounter. Because you're not even interested in going out there and seducing or having to interact with women because you've got access. You don't need to do the hard work.
I bet we'll get somebody in the comments that says, well, that's good then.
Yeah.
Because if you don't actually want to be sleeping around, then you can control this desire through porn, right?
Ooh. But like porn now has quite a lot of effects. Like, because those effects of porn now, you might tend to finding, when you go later on and have a partner, it affects your sexual interaction with your partner.
How?
Because like now, porn has perfect human beings. Like it's acting. And human beings, they've got faults. But porn shows you this perfect experience of sex that is not the reality. So you see, and if you consume that on a daily or frequent basis, you'll not be attracted to your partner.
Yeah.
So that was my story about porn, until to a point where and you see this thing, once in a while you it's like you want to watch, but for me who's a Christian, that has played a big part in my life in regards to pornography, because it's sin, and you pray to God so that you're not committing that kind of sin. Because it's temptation, because it's easily accessed, because even adverts that keep on coming on your phone, some of them come with this kind of pornographic features. If you just click it, you are accessing. You have it on just your fingertips. Now you have to be disciplined about it. If in fact this thing has been made to be a habit in your life, and I know there are many people who are addicted to.
So you'll notice things got a little messed up there for a second. Happened in Kenya, we had a power cut. KPLC didn't like our conversation, so they filtered it for a second. But I will say, I'm very excited to continue this conversation, and also in the future when we bring others and we kind of have a round table with many people, because the conversation continued after the camera went off.
Yeah,
and it's so powerful to have people sharing their testimonies and what their experience has been. So as you were saying, Eric, some people are addicted to pornography.
Yeah, true. And for me, when I was growing up, and even the industry made porn easily accessible. This Kenyans will resonate with this, nganya, the matatu, the good matatus, those the taxis. In America you call them taxis, but in Kenya the matatus, those that are cool and posh, those that had good music,
Hold up.
Play.
I'm going to interrupt to clarify points for Americans or Westerners who haven't been to Kenya.
Yes.
So in Kenya, they have essentially large church vans or delivery vans that are packed full of seats with about 15, right? How many are in the biggest ones? Not the huge bus ones, not the charters.
Yeah, 14.
14 people will fit in these, and literally the back of the seat to the front of the seat and head of you is shorter than my legs, so I have to sit sideways. Yeah. You're in there very close, and you pay something it depends how far you're going, where you're going, but it's affordable, Mm-hmm. And so these guys are going, and lots of times they'll have these big TVs in there. So that's what he said. That's what matatus are.
Yeah, it's an entire culture. It's a tourist attraction. If you visit Kenya, you'll be able to make sure you experience a matatu. It's one of the most amazing experience. So the cool one, the good one, now you sit in, and they normally have screen. It's like a moving disco. Literally, we call them moving discos. And they've got you will find one has about even 10 screens in it. So imagine all those screens. The music is playing, but the video display is pornography. And that became norm. That became things that happen on a daily basis. And now porn was I remember I got to a place porn was just seeing a normal movie, as in there was nothing big about watching porn at a point in my life. So and that's the impact that it has had in my life when growing up, and now when you grow up and now you continue desiring now to watch it. With friends, I remember we could sit even, we could just hang out, and behind, like as we are just having our normal conversations, behind us, like probably the television will just be playing porn, but we are cool about it.
That is so crazy to me. Like the idea of watching porn with other people is weird.
True.
Because to me, like, porn has a purpose, and that purpose does not involve my buddy. Like yeah. So I mean, again, it's just a cultural difference. But also, I wasn't introduced in a group as a kid.
Yeah.
That would have definitely changed my perspective on how it can be viewed. But man, I can't help but escape that. One, that this is not new. Porn is just a new venue.
Yes, it is.
I mean, temple prostitutes used to be like normal. Like every city had a temple where you could get laid.
Yeah.
And whether it was to a god or just a lady down the street, like it's there, And so like this whole like hypersexualization is not new in that it's always existed, that like, hey, this is what women are for, and here's one, and this is a small fee you pay, and bam, like that's always been there.
Yeah, true.
But man, like now I guess the difference would be instantaneously, I don't have to leave my house. No one else has to know. There's no risk to me. There's no, all of that has changed.
Yeah.
And it is I think it's an intentional assault on our humanity, because it's going against our very design.
Yes.
But also, on our ability to live out our faith, to follow God, to even see God. Because I think that in situations like you're describing it, and even worse for other people, it will mess with you. I don't just mean you get to the home base quicker, or that's all you see women for. I mean, like, inability to function, inability to have a relationship with certain types of people,
Sure.
Inability to see a woman as someone I can have a relationship with, like, as opposed to just somebody who I can have an event with.
Yeah, true.
And those have detrimental effects on society.
Because that makes you like feel like a woman is someone that you have this one time moment and it's gone. It breaks the emotional care. It breaks quite a lot of essential thing that intimacy in a sexual way is supposed to have.
Yeah, and there's two videos that I'd recommend to viewers that I think are phenomenal, that somewhat play into this topic. One of them is called The Road to Brighton.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good video that shows what happens chemically inside your brain when you're starting to utilize pornography. That this is the pathway that this type of thing happens, and anything outside of that is not right, and it tries to bring you back to this. And when you want that dopamine, this highway is laid and paved.
Yeah, true.
And so your brain will go that way. There's that one, and then there's another one called The Sexual Economy that I think plays into this somewhat as well. That sexual economy one discusses like why there are so many words to degrade women over the ones to degrade men. And I guess the position or the idea that video puts forward is that women are in complete control of the sexual economy. Yes, men are stronger than women.
Yeah.
But rapists aren't every man.
Yeah, true.
And so if a man wants to have sex with a woman, he has to go through whatever the woman says, the path. And if a woman has these things laid out, like, hey, we're going to get married, and you're going to be responsible, and you're going to take care of things, that's a path that has to be followed. Now, if that woman has competition by a lady that says, yeah, buy me a drink. Now that woman will want to make sure that woman A will want woman B to either one, be seen down, or two, to correct that woman's behavior to be more in line with her path, which societally wise, you could say that is the better path, biblically as well. And so then those words Their idea is that those words were invented to control women amongst women. It wasn't guys saying, "Oh, this you're this, you're this, you're this." It was women trying to correct behavior, healthy driver towards men, towards women. That then you can have a friendship that's built around, during all of that process that leads to a happy marriage, like all of that. Now there's this other gate that like, oh, I don't have to interact with you. I don't need to treat you well. I don't need to think that you're valuable. I can go through this gate, and then you're just over there.
You're true.
And so then women, if they want the guy, right? If they want the guy to either have kids with or get married or whatever, then they have to match this, because they can't go to that and say, stop doing it, because now those women, and this is the crazy part, have become objects. It's not that the men made them objects. It's now that, and this is the sad part about it, is that when men or women, this goes both ways, obviously. I'm speaking from my perspective.
Yeah.
Those women have signed a contract that this film is now property of somebody else. So now they have given something of themselves to make into an object. And now even if they leave and they don't ever want to be part of that again, that object is still there.
Yes.
And that object can't be shouted down by this other person, by the ladies that want corrective behavior or a different path. And so you have this lady that maybe they tried to villainize pornography, but the access is still there.
Yeah, true.
And even if the person who was on the video doesn't want it still there, she doesn't have rights.
Yeah.
She signed them over.
Yeah, true. That's just an intriguing part of our society.
Yeah, and people, here's the other angle. I don't know if you've heard this side of things where it's like, well, it's empowering for women.
I've heard
to
that.
be in porn movies. It's like, well, they're now completely subject to the whims of, one, men that are watching, but two, generally men that are filming and producing.
True.
Now you and your likeness are in this video, and we own it.
Yeah.
And your kids might watch it someday.
Yeah.
And your husband might discover it someday. Or whatever it is that person now dreads, that doesn't want that out there anymore. They are not empowered anymore.
Yeah, true. They're not.
And sex feels good. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But pornography twists it. I was saying that Ravi Zacharias had this great quote. Pornography establishes in a person a desire that can never be met by any one person. And so I think, like, the older I get, the more I realize, the more I watch, the more I see Satan he is playing such a long game with stuff, because if you can get people to have that desire, then you can destroy families, then you can destroy childhoods, then relationships, and people are isolated, and it's just terrible. And you'll get people that, well, I used to look at porn, and and when I got married I stopped it, or my wife's cool with it, or all these other things. And it's like, okay,
it's very hard to stop.
Yeah.
Very
insane.
hard to stop. Like sometimes you might have blips where you stop and then you go back, but like you need dedication to really stop.
And you have to have tools. And some guys will be like, no, you just need to be disciplined, and you're just not disciplined and you're weak. But there's going to be people that say that stuff, but I'm also trying to destroy the damage that I've done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rebuild my character, rebuild my mind apart from these things that have assaulted the way that I think. There's some really cool spoken word out there dealing with pornography and masturbation that really highlights like that inherently this is deception.
Yeah.
It's deception. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to your body, and you're abusing yourself, you're abusing your body. And obviously spoken word is so eloquent in a lot of ways, and it's very powerful. So I'll try to find that, and we'll put it in the links below so that you can see those along with those other 2 videos. But yeah, I mean, that establishing that desire means that like it gets your body going, and then you need it more. It is straight up. It's an addiction. You know, I used to work at a recovery center in the U.S. and we had a guy come through for porn addiction. Like he came through. There's people there for cocaine and heroin and alcohol, and he was there for porn.
And I know here we've got quite a lot of people who are addicted to porn. And so the other thing that I really, in regards to porn, that I want us to also talk about now, there is usually encouragement like porn can spice your marriage. What's your thought on that?
I think that involving other people as in present or people as in have been turned into objects, isn't necessary.
Yeah,
I think that if you and you and your spouse are on the same page, then you just have fun.
Yeah, because
you don't need this pre-production where this other person's life may have been destroyed because they needed money and they decided to be empowered in this way and sell this image of themselves. And yeah, I really think that it's not necessarily, I think that you're bringing somebody else in to your marriage, into your marriage bed. Yeah. And it's, because you watch it, and we talked about this briefly, is that when you watch that stuff, especially for guys, it's there.
Yeah.
You can think back and remember different porn that you've watched.
Yeah.
If you don't think about it, that neural pathway degrades over time, and it's not easy to get back to. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, I want that pathway to rot.
Yeah.
So that I can't, like, even finding it is difficult. But you do that in a marriage with your wife or with your husband, like you're bringing somebody else in, and all of that is fresh. So that lady that's on there or that guy that's on there, they are now a focus in your marriage bed.
Yeah.
How was he doing that? And this guy is not, my husband is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, or vice versa. Like she looked like this, and my wife does not look like this, or. And it's just to me it's inviting doom in, and it's not worth it, you know. Like I have talked about this before with some different people, that it is so important that we don't structure our lives for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow, what do you mean by that? Here's the thing, we're guys.
Yeah, true.
Orgasms are like at a high end, 15 seconds. Ladies, you got a couple minutes. Like, that's pretty awesome, right? Are you telling me that you're going to structure a huge part of your life for 15 seconds or even 2 minutes if it's heavenly for you as a woman? Like, that's what you're going to do. Like, for 15 seconds, like, I am going to strive to make a ton of money so I can drive a sweet car. So when I go out and I can find the ladies and they observe that I have a nice car, they want to get in the car with me, and then we go and we have sex and I have an orgasm, and that 15 seconds is there.
It's gone.
I structured how many years of my life to attain 15 seconds. Well, no, Taylor, it's 15 seconds repeatedly. Well, yeah, but then you just have to redo what you were doing. And so it's still this 15 seconds. Like, and people don't want to have kids. It's like, I'm structuring my life for, you could say a bloodline.
Yeah.
But I'm structuring my life for at least 40 years that I want to experience with my kids.
Yeah, which is
oh, what a waste! You got to give up a career, and okay, well, what's the point of great career? Well, you can have all this cool stuff and have this nice luxury, you know. Okay, whatever.
True.
But if you're a single bachelor, it's like, well, I got all that stuff, so now I can get the ladies.
Yeah.
For that 15-second feeling.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we put it back into the context that it exists.
Yeah.
And that is that you are doing all of this for a 15-second feeling. Mm-hmm. You can't, no. You can't etherealize this. Like, you can't make it seem like it's something heavenly. Like, man, if I watch this video with these different people doing this different stuff, then the clouds are going to part apart and it's going to be like an eternity. No. It's 15 seconds, bro.
It's done.
And so it all has to do with where that 15 seconds exists.
Yeah.
Does it exist between you and your spouse? Or does it exist between you and mystery, this objectified people, this toy, or whatever it is? Because that context is where the lasting joy comes. And, you know, porn, it's so destructive with the expectations, you know, not only looks, but behaviors, even like sounds, everything.
Everything, yeah, true.
It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And so, okay, so for you in your walk, when did you stop? Or are you still going? Are you still looking at porn?
I stopped, when did I stop? I stopped when I was still in uni, because like now the guilt that was like
got to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you do it, like before ejaculating, like
everything seems great. Like this, yes,
great. Like,
yes.
like okay, like it looks like this is a nice thing. You're like flipping around, you're enjoying, and you're busy looking at that. But immediately it's out. You're like, crap.
Like reality comes
What
quick.
did I do? What was this? What was all this fuss?
I offended infernal God for what?
You feel so bad. You feel so guilty. You feel like, okay, I'm not going to do this again. So that guilt is the one that guilt and me strengthening my relationship with God, that's what helped me stop. But otherwise, it was a very hard thing to stop. It was a very hard thing to stop. And I know if there's anyone out there who's struggling with it, I know how hard it is, but like, it just needs baby step. And the guilt, like many of my friends that I've talked with, they all feel the guilt. That's the good thing.
They're still doing it.
Like, I don't know if they're doing it, so because I'm not in their private life at this particular time.
Bro, you gotta ask that question. Jump
like,
in there.
Yeah. I'll ask
next time. Be intimate with them.
Next time I sit with them, I'll ask them, hey
bro, how's that battle
going? We all say kunyonga monkey, and it's like just a slang and an easy thing, but probably they're doing it. Nowadays, accessing, like, you know, we are even talking about just hard porn, but nowadays there's soft porn. TikTok, man. When you flip TikTok, Instagram Reels, man, when you just flip it
very
up,
true.
There are these ladies' asses out, man. As in, that's soft porn. And to some people, that can lead into
the same thing again.
The same thing that this hard porn is leading to. So, like, and like with marriage, I was there's a friend I was asking, when you're watching porn with your wife or your spouse, who is making you get hard?
Yeah, who's arousing you?
Yeah.
Is it the movie? Yeah, exactly.
Is it your wife?
And you have to ask that question because you've now brought other people into your bed.
Yeah.
So the question is, who's exciting you the most?
Yeah. Is it your wife or is it the porn star? And like, if it's the porn star, then you're drifting away from your wife, which is not a good thing. And like, for couples who watch porn together, I personally will discourage that. It does not spice your marriage. It end up destroying.
You're going to have people that are going to come back at you and say it does. It does spice it up. Our sex is better now that we're watching porn together.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't argue with your personal experience on that respect. But I don't think you can also argue that now someone else is in your bed with you.
Yeah.
In your mind with you. That was a struggle I faced early in my marriage, that those things would still rest years before, right?
Yeah.
Years before I had this problem.
Yeah.
And those things would come. They would come right into the front of my mind as I'm having sex with my wife, and it's like, ugh. And okay, so question for you. Before you got married, did you tell your wife?
It's something that we didn't sit down and seriously and talked about, But like I mentioned, like it's something that I mentioned, like I did mention on a frequent conversation while we were dating. But that was a past.
And when you say you mentioned, is this before or after you met her parents?
This is before I met her parents.
Okay, so
this is before I met her parents.
It's even before like really, 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 really serious.
Yeah, really, really serious.
Okay, so you were letting her know. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you take note? What did she? Maybe obviously the setting in which you told her isn't very important, but how did she react?
That time, do I even remember?
Yeah, exactly. It was probably like you said. It was I used to do this.
Yeah, these were the things that were happening in my life while I was growing up. Because like by the time you're getting together, you really have to be on the same page. Are those struggles still affecting you? Have you taken care of your crap? Have you taken care of yourself in that particular place? So those are the things that were like we talked about, like, but we were not really having a serious conversation because it was not an issue at that particular time. Yeah. Like the way our president say, it was a non-issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it reared its ugly head since you've been married? Has it reared its ugly head since you've been married? Have you returned to it at all since you've been married?
No.
Because, good job, man.
I haven't because like
don't do it
because that's. I have my wife.
Exactly.
If I want sex, why should I watch other people?
Well, because your wife might say no.
If she says no,
but it's crazy because it doesn't. But here's the thing: it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't why I went back.
Yeah.
Like and dipped my foot back in the freaking dirty waters of porn. Like
yeah.
It wasn't because of something. It was just. It has its own separate, distinct allure that is mysterious and dirty and instantaneous.
Yeah.
That it itself was the draw.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't because my wife, it was just like, it was something separate. And it was, don't do it, bro. Stay strong. Call me if you ever feel. I'm not joking. You have my number.
I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call. But like, it's not a struggle that I think I have with this particular. It's a struggle.
Let me
that
tell
I
you a
don't
story.
Have. Maybe I don't know.
That is a great place for Satan to dance and play. Is when you think, I'm done with that.
Yeah. No, but I pray about it. I know I'm not
good. Okay,
I know I'm not invincible.
Uh-huh.
I know like it's temptation like any other temptation, and sometimes you can easily be scrolling and probably you're like, okay, wow. It's been a while.
What?
And when you just open that window, it comes with a bang.
Yes.
It comes with a bang and it hits you.
Yes, just boom.
Yeah, true. Man. So like you don't want to go through that path. And if you've never watched porn, our viewers, please, it's something that I'll discourage.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Not just discourage. Like,
don't do it.
There is no benefit that you will get long or short term from this. Oh yeah, well Taylor, I'll be ejaculating. So that is the short term benefit. It's like I don't really see that as a benefit. It's just a bodily function. Yeah, it feels good for 15 seconds. Remind you that you have to take the damage with the 15 seconds. All of the thoughts, all of the ways that you're viewing, all of the images go with that 15 seconds. So don't dabble. Like, don't think, oh, well, that's kind of curious. I'd like to. No. Like, don't enter in one toe into that water. It's not worth it. There's very few guys that, I can't name any guys that would be like, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You should. I've heard conversations that, like this I went to a marriage retreat and this guy was articulating about how he was terrified to talk to his sons about this stuff. He even organized a men's event and brought in the speaker that would speak about this stuff so that he wouldn't have to talk to his kids about it, right? And then at the event, the speaker says, okay, I want to give you dads time to talk to your sons. And he literally pulled the speaker aside. He's like, what are you doing? I literally hired you and brought you here so I didn't have to do this. What am I supposed to say? Like, and the guy just,
These are conversations.
I don't know if he coached him through it. But he literally walked, he went off with his sons, and he stumbled through this conversation and articulated what he knew and what he had learned in his journey.
Yeah.
As kids, it's kind of an awkward thing, right?
True.
But then
with your kids, it's awkward.
At the wedding party, not the reception, it was the engagement party for his son.
Yeah.
His son came up to him and said, "Dad, I just want to let you know how important that talk about porn was. I never went into that side of stuff, and I know how much it has saved me."
Ooh. That's why we are talking.
Yeah.
And if someone who's close to you talk to you about these things, that's
No. My dad did.
That's a precious thing.
But even with the conversation, the power still lies in your choice.
Yes.
We never get to shed that responsibility that we choose our actions. Yeah. And so I had a dad who talked to me about this stuff that was like, don't engage in this. It's worthless. It's terrible. Women are not to be objectified in this way, X, Y, Z. I still went down that path. Mm-hmm. Like that to me is a special type of wickedness, by the way.
That's how the enemy works.
But it's also the choices I made.
That's
like
true.
Knowing, having understood God, having the knowledge of this, still decided to dance in this. There's a kind of forgiveness that God has, that it has to be special for the stupidity of continuing in sin.
And that's why he's God.
It's true.
That's because this conversation sometimes, for parents out there, this conversation, the hardest to have with children. And I think that's why, for me, I don't think my parent ever talked to me about this, even sex.
I've heard that.
I just had to discover all these things by myself. And I think sometimes it's very helpful when a parent talks about this thing to their kids.
It's essential.
Yeah. It makes a big difference rather than a cousin, a friend, a relative, a house help,
a movie.
The way we learned a lot of things about sex through house helps. So you see why it's so important for a parent to be involved in the family.
Man, yeah, and this is where you being a man and leading your family and understanding your responsibility of protecting. And it doesn't just mean if some bad guy busts into your house. It means Satan or the world, or they desire your kid to turn out terrible or to turn out in their image.
Yeah.
And you are the guardian between them and that. There's a sweet meme where it shows this father holding up a giant shield and all these arrows coming in and protecting his kid that's right there. And it's really that's the image of who we are as parents. And we have to understand that the level of discomfort that comes with an awkward conversation is a battle you can face. Stop being a pansy. Have a hard conversation, an uncomfortable conversation that will pay dividends for both you and the other person. But it's so, shut up. Those kind of complaints that this is uncomfortable or this is difficult. I'm still talking to myself when I say this, by the way, too, is so silly and so elementary and sophomoric. It's so dumb that would be an objection to doing something that it's an uncomfortable conversation that might save my kid from having marital problems, from being able to marry the woman he wants to marry because he's focused on her or because he's focused on porn and not her. All because I was a pansy or a weak person and didn't have that conversation. It's so not worth it. And being. And again, coming back to the protection side, it's not just hey, don't look at porn. It's hey, there are people who want to objectify your kids.
Yes.
They want to make them into things for their pleasure.
Yes.
And it's
and that's
my kid.
Yeah, that's the hard lesson.
My kid.
Yeah.
You want no. I'm going to stand between you and that. So that means I'm going to have ridiculous rules.
Yeah.
Okay, and Man, it's kind of hard to talk about this stuff because I had really good parents.
Yeah.
And I was wicked still. I know I didn't go to sleep around and all that stuff, but like I pursued wickedness in a way that was not justifiable for the upbringing that I had. And it's like
sometimes it looks like it doesn't matter. Sometimes like something has already gotten into your ear, or you've seen something and you feel like you want to pursue it.
yeah, but it's still my choice.
Yeah, it's a choice.
And like there's still, to me, there's still that condemnation, and I don't mean like you're going to hell, but definitely like you have sinned in the kingdom and eternal view for that choice. Even if that choice had a lot of mitigating circumstances that led to you engaging in that choice, your responsibility is not shed.
Yeah.
But man, my parents always said they're not going to set us up to fail.
Yeah.
And that is
a
what
good
I am
parent.
striving for my kids.
Yeah.
That I am going to establish crazy, stupid rules that they will not appreciate until they're older.
They'll be like, okay.
And they'll be mad at me.
We understand why you did that and that.
Yeah, it's just like, ugh.
Because
Like way back in the day, you know what a rule in my house was? Had to be home by 10, which is like kind of a weird time. It's longer than maybe super conservative families, and it's shorter than everyone else.
when you say that, like those were rules that our parents were giving us. 10 was a bit late for us.
Oh, no. And hold on. 10 is if they knew where I was
Okay.
and what I was doing and who I was with. It was
Yeah.
still 10.
Yeah.
If they didn't know, that's not an option.
You
Like
cannot
you're
be-
my kid, I will know.
You cannot be in the house that
Oh,
late.
why? I don't have freedom. No, you're living in my house, and I love you. And yes, I'm gonna know. Like these are easy things to say, and it's just like that's the rule. I'm gonna be a man, be myself. Sure, someday. But
I can
now.
get those similarities with us as well
Yeah.
here. As in growing up, those were the rules, and even like shaving hair, like
No dreads.
no, yeah,
There will not be a
Come
thief
on.
living in my house. There's a stereotype that thieves have dreads.
Yeah, true.
People with dreads are thieves.
Yeah.
Like so. I mean, even coming to modern times.
that was in the U.S. That was in Kenya as well.
No. I was saying that's in Kenya. I was
Yeah.
explaining to people that why you were saying about shaving your head.
Yeah, and if you didn't, you wouldn't sleep in the house. Like you had to shave that head.
Yep.
And when you see us shaving heads all the time, just know we were traumatized. We were traumatized, bro. Like it was a war. It was like a third world war if you didn't shave your head.
Oh, so here's something to kind of bring a couple of things together.
Yeah.
Another Ravi Zacharias quote, because again,
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about him. I think that he did wonderful work. for
Even
the
me, I
kingdom.
think Ravi Zacharias
he
was
did-
great.
And
And
yeah,
I-
but he did like
he did
if what
bad
is said is
things.
true, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible.
And his lack of repentance is not my judgment or condemnation on in his whole of his life.
on God.
We have an insight into David's life
Yeah.
that we do not have insight into Ravi Zacharias' life.
Yeah.
And that is significant to remember that we are able to say, well, we can listen and learn from David because he repented. Yeah, we have biblical writings about that. We don't have that for Ravi,
Yeah, true.
and it doesn't negate the work that he has done.
No, he did a great job.
And one of the sayings that he says that Satan seeks to establish in you the idea that stolen water is sweeter.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Me cheating on my wife,
Yeah.
that 15 seconds is better 15 seconds
Yeah.
than if it's with my wife.
It looks exciting.
And it's like, that's
it is
bogus.
not.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah.
So it's all about the context.
Yes.
Where are you getting the water? It's the same water. It doesn't taste any sweeter. It doesn't taste any. So is it stolen or not? Yes, it's stolen. Now you've sinned. Now you owe this person, whatever. So let's just go with truth. And those two things, those two Ravi Zacharias quotes about what porn establishes and what Satan is trying to do with stolen waters
Stolen water.
have been so powerful, because you going to watch this porn and masturbating is not going to produce in you something better than if you wait and have it in the appropriate context without it being stolen. It's not. And to think that it is going to lie. And then this comes into the same thing.
Yeah.
That 15 seconds will be better if we bring porn into our marriage. That's stolen water where I take someone else's wife, someone else's private moment, even,
Yeah.
well, they decided to make it public. Okay, whatever. Bring that into my marriage. It will be sweeter.
Which
No, it's the same
wrong concept.
thing happening. Oh, well, Art Taylor. And like literally, you're going to get people that are very, the best way to that many of them put it would be sexually progressive, that are going to tell you stories of people they've met or people they've worked with. They have sex coaches, you know, all this stuff. Oh, all of these things have improved. It's like, okay, what you're saying may be true. I do not think that that is one,
Yeah.
the healthiest avenue to achieve that, much less two, the only. If you invested time into being creative with your wife and talking with her about things that she's feeling, things that you like, things that she likes, and then just engaging in that as opposed to, hey, let's just invite somebody else in and have them tell us a few things. It's not, it's lazy.
Yeah, true, it is.
It's like your kids wanting to watch TV about people doing fun stuff instead of just going outside and doing fun stuff.
They are true and doing the same thing. Yeah.
Like, look at these kids and, oh, look at that fort they're building. Okay, shut off the TV and go build a fort. Like, what are we doing watching this?
Yeah. Go
Like,
out there and build that.
It's the same parallel for like, oh, why are we watching these other people? Like, your body is mine, my body is yours. God has given us this freedom to delight in each other. Let's just delight in each other and not bring in some strange person.
Yeah, true.
It's just wicked. And Satan is so good at lying. And especially in those moments.
He's interested in you destroying your life. And that is his interest.
And you can hear dudes that their lives are destroyed.
It get really destroyed. Because you see, like even now, when we're talking about this topic and we are looking at how masturbation has been normalized.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like if you're a young kid or a young person who's not masturbating, that's not cool anymore. You need to be masturbating for you to be cool. You understand? Because it has been normalized.
How twisted
and,
is it?
and that's why you see porn is a massive business in this world.
Which it's crazy because you can get porn for free, right?
Yes.
And anything you want to see is free.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, so what's the agenda? You know, when you're walking down the street and you see a big group of people and a guy standing out of the top of a car handing out money,
Yeah.
you know there's an agenda. And what is it?
Siasa, politics.
Exactly. Votes. They have an agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, if all of these things are free, what's the agenda? Somebody answer it. Oh, you know, just empowering people to be able to pleasure themselves anytime they want.
No.
No, that's not the agenda.
That's not. To destroy.
To destroy. Destroy
Yeah.
your family, destroy your kids, destroy your sex life.
Destroy generations.
Destroy your even expectations. Like, think about this. Like, if you are so used to abusing yourself and getting that instant gratification, then you get married and she says no.
Ooh, that would be...
Which is part of her prerogative in the marriage, especially if you have not. I'm not saying this is like a token system. And even the guy, like, no, like, we're not cool right now. Like, we are fighting. You can't just come in here and demand, like, that's not how relationship works.
Yeah.
But you have this expectation that she has to do this for you because it's her duty or because her body's yours, or ripping all these things out of context of scripture and then using it to dominate. And all of that comes from the idea that you should be able to be gratified at a moment's notice.
And sometimes...
and porn allows that. But now...
It does.
Now you're telling
the way
me
you're
no?
saying, like, sometimes you might stay for long. You know, like, before I got married, I thought, like, you're having sex, like, every now and then. But, like, that hit me that you can't. It's not the main thing in the marriage.
I've no.
It is part.
Exactly.
It is part of it.
And it's
but
fun and
it
it's
is
great.
fun when it is happening. And you can go sometimes days, months without having it.
For real. And it's not even like a bitterness thing. Like,
Yeah.
and this is things that guys, especially virgin guys, don't understand.
Yeah.
That the priority of sex is not what you think it is.
That's
My
true.
brother told me, he's like, if you put a penny in a jar or a shilling in a jar
Yeah.
every time that you have sex in your first year of marriage, and then take one out
Yeah.
every time in the rest of the years, the jar will still have pennies or shillings in it when you die.
True.
Meaning, like, that first time,
Yeah.
or that first year is so intense. But getting back to the porn side of it, like, the expectation that you would be able to get it anytime you want. I am the man of the house, or if you want to use that, or
Yeah.
all of these things are propped up by lies.
Yeah, true.
That you are still interacting with a person. And this person, and it's their body. Like, we as men can't understand the vulnerability that it requires to accept someone inside of you.
Yeah, true.
Like, it's so crazy to think about that. That is what your wife is allowing.
Yeah, that you can't think about that because you don't know.
And then, like, also, like, wanting.
Yeah.
Like, she wants that, and it is a connection for her. And there's all sorts of chemicals that happen in both of your brains when it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, it requires her to be vulnerable in
Very.
that way.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But the pornography industry, I think, is very, very much has an agenda. And that agenda is not existing on an island, meaning
Yeah.
other industries are supporting that agenda. Politics is supporting that agenda.
That's why it's there.
And it's all based towards this: you will be destroyed and made in this image
Yeah.
that I have control.
Can you imagine if countries were so united against it? It will
Yeah.
not be there.
Oh yeah.
It will not be there.
And you know, and the very sad and terrible thing is that pornography is very much associated with the West and thus Christianity.
Yeah.
That it's like, that's why the Middle Eastern countries, so many of them will be like, they're so wicked. Look at this stuff.
But you've made me think about the West. I'm looking at even some of your sculpture in the street. They're naked.
Okay, so that is an interesting point as
Yeah.
it pertains to art.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's the statue of David.
Yes.
The dude's naked.
Yeah, the dude is naked.
But when you look at that statue of David, to me, it's not sexual.
No, it's not sexual, but like there are quite a lot of there's usually a lot of those that you have naked women, pictures drawn of naked women. You see, like it might be a very innocent.
Help me understand what you're saying or what you're referencing in the U.S.
Like I'm not in the U.S. specifically. I'm just saying
in the West. Yeah,
in the West generally. Like if you go to Rome.
Oh
you'll
yeah, dude.
find,
Europe is way more progressive with that side of stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
If you go to Holland, Netherlands, it's big.
Yep.
Netherlands, there's a street that is called Red
Light District.
Red District, which is crazy.
They're shopping.
Yeah, it's like shopping, like
people.
it's displaying on screen like these are people, real people.
Go there and tell me those people are empowered.
Yeah, they're not.
Can they leave? Can they say, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to walk away?
And you see, those things, they look so innocent, but if your child...
Hold up. What looks innocent?
They like, for example, they look artistic. Like someone will say it's art and all those kind of things.
Oh, not what I was talking
about.
But
like,
so other things.
Yeah, but like the impact, you know, that visual impact is so great for even a young person. Like if I pass in a street and I see a drawing of a vagina, what do you think that has done to me?
There's also another thing that as it pertains with pornography that this might be a completely different podcast, and I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
But the responsibility for engaging or not engaging with pornography does not lie outside of ourselves.
I agree with that.
And that goes, like, you know, you can talk about modesty and whatnot in the church, and that's probably a whole different podcast, right? But the responsibility for me to look you up and down and to think of you naked lies upon me, no matter how you are dressed.
True.
Doesn't matter if
It
you're
doesn't
wearing.
matter. It
Doesn't matter if you're wearing a burqa and you're completely covered head to toe, or you're wearing almost nothing. My ability.
Yeah.
And my responsibility to not be engaged in you in a wicked manner, and like Jesus talks about, like lusting after you in my heart is a responsibility I bear.
It's true, it's a responsibility that you bear, but don't you think it's something that is provoking the other person?
Yes, but you have to be at a level of maturity in your faith to, one, know that, and two, then take steps against it.
Yeah.
And my faith, my actions are not based on where your faith is.
Yeah.
So if you come from a very seductive background and you're wearing all sorts of crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but you have turned your life over to Jesus, that doesn't mean that everything about you has changed.
Yes.
Your eternity has changed. Your allegiance has changed. Who you draw power from has changed. But you might not even yet understand what needs to change about the way you live. And as you are progressing through that, does that mean that we shouldn't interact?
No, it doesn't mean that.
And so that responsibility still lies upon me.
Yeah, true. I
That
agree.
your boobs can be hanging out, and it's still my responsibility. And we can encourage Christian community that it's like, listen, we are in this together, but it's also each of your responsibilities.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it boils down to individuals at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far.
It
Still community.
does. It boils down to you as a person.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you are also in a community with other people.
Yes, but it starts with you.
If I feel good about the way that I dress,
Yeah.
and I don't feel convicted,
Yeah.
but it is destructive to you,
Yeah.
is it bad for me?
It is.
That question is not a yes or no. That is a very difficult question that is very much based in relationship with God,
Yeah,
conviction.
true.
Like it's all there, and people
true,
want to make
true.
a rule that it's like your skirt has to be at this place and your shirt has to be like
This.
Those are silly. That to me is what the Old Testament God was showing. Not only that if you make rules, you will have to have so many, and then also that it's pointless because
That's
it
true.
comes back to the relationship. And I
Yeah.
think in all of this porn stuff, it is separating the beautiful and wonderful act of sex
Yeah.
from a person.
Yes.
And again, that's you can't you live in relationship. You don't live in a system.
Yes.
And that relationship, yeah, it can resemble systems. Like, no, you're not allowed to cheat on your wife. Yeah, that's a rule. And if you talk to your wife, she would echo that rule.
Yeah, true.
But for her, it's not a rule. It's part of your relationship.
Because that's what you've committed to, like.
But even if you never said it,
Yeah, that's the expectation.
it's in your relationship that we together is we, not
Yeah, us.
all of us other people too.
Yes.
And so porn, it just separates. It's trying to separate people from who they are and what they can offer. If I can get sex without a person, I don't have to deal with the drama. I don't have to deal with the...
There's nothing.
I don't have to deal with the desire for X, Y, Z.
And talk to them.
But that's not how it's supposed to be. That's
Yeah.
not best. It's
That's not
best.
the natural way of how it's supposed to be.
Not the way God designed us, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has been, so even off camera, there have been conversations in this room when the power goes out that have been very, very good. And it would have been nice to capture them.
Yeah.
But it also, it was good how it was. And we are looking forward to in the future of doing these kind of conversations, probably this same topic,
Yeah.
maybe a lot of the same stuff with other people, because Revelation 12, 19, 12, 16, 19 talks about how Satan is defeated. And one of those ways is with testimony. And when people share their stories and people tell you how porn affected them or how it was introduced to them, all of those things is powerful for exposing how Satan is lying and thus his kingdom falls.
True.
And we're able to raid those gates and get people out and rescue people from these terrible situations. And so we're excited about it. This conversation being global, occurring in the US, occurring here in Kenya, where we can see from across the world that Satan is working a lot of the same plays. And if we can bring out those plays and say, this is how he's working, this is how he's trying to destroy, then you can spot them and we can spot them.
Yeah, true.
And then we can say, no, we're not going to take your lies. Yeah. We're only going to see them for what they are. So we really want to thank you guys for joining us today on the Unfiltered Conversation Global. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys again in our next episodes. So yeah.
Yes, we are great. Like you partnered with us today. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. And if there's any topic that you want us to discuss, please let us know. If you still want us to discuss about the same topic, but like with now a bigger audience, let us get to know that so that we can make this channel better, so that we can bring what you desire us to bring. And this conversation, I know they are hard to talk out there. But like now we are engaging you, we are trying to trigger it out of you guys. So let's know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys joining us. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. This is a tough topic. It's a tough topic to speak about in mixed company. And maybe this spurs you to do that in a way that's healthy, in a setting that maybe you can share with your spouse or your future spouse or your parents, something that's happened or whatever. So look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments and responding to you. God bless. Peace out.
Peace out.